Hello, my name is Brody from the Monroe Hustlers 4-H Club in Johnson County, Iowa. My presentation is going to be on soil erosion by water. To sustain agriculture in our environment, we need to balance productivity, producing more per acre to feed a growing population, and conservation, ensuring the sustainability of agriculture for our future. Erosion is a process that removes soil layers and carries soil away from fields and into bodies of water. This results in loss of valuable soil and nutrients necessary for crops to grow. Erosion is our #1 water quality problem. It reduces crop yield and costs $25 billion a year in the U.S. and over $400 billion worldwide. Farmers feed the world, and we can't afford to lose soil to erosion. This is where you all get to be a part of my presentation by answering the questions provided on the clickers that I've provided. What percent of human food do you think comes from soil and cropland? 33%, 60%, or 99%? The answer is 99%. Most of you got the right answer, and somehow all foods can be traced back to farmland, except for 1%. The 3 types of erosion are wind, tillage, and water erosion. For this presentation, I'm going to focus specifically on water erosion. Water erosion happens during the winter snowmelt and during rainfall. When it happens during rainfall, it occurs in 2 stages: raindrop impact and flowing water from upslope. What percent of eroded soil do you think ends up in rivers and streams? The answer is 60%. The majority of you got the right answer. Not all soil is going to end up in rivers and streams like a quarter of you in the room think so. This is an example of water erosion. The water is flowing off the field, taking soil with it, and that is soil that we need on those fields. Tolerable loss is when the soil loss rate equals the soil formation rate. The problem is that we are eroding soil faster than it is developing. This is a chart showing erosion on cropland since the CRP was established in 1985. The Conservation Reserve Program is the government paying farmers not to till or plant on the land, which has helped to reduce erosion greatly. How much soil do you think is lost annually on average in Iowa? Less than 1 ton an acre, 3 tons an acre, or 5 tons an acre? Only 13% of you got the correct answer on this one. 5 tons an acre is a lot of soil to be lost on an acre of ground annually. How much soil do you think is developed annually in Iowa? 1 ton an acre, 3 tons an acre, or 5 tons an acre? The correct answer here is less than 1 ton an acre. Now, this is a big problem because if we're taking away 5 tons of soil per acre away from the soil, but we're only putting back less than 1 ton, this does not look good for our future. This is a map showing the heavy rains in 2008 between June 1st and 15th. All of this rain that fell on fields like this one washed away, taking soil with it into rivers and streams, which created floods like this one in cities. This is my hometown of Cedar Rapids. A farmer's goal is to increase production and feed more people. They do this by tiling, which reduces surface runoff, and tillage, which increases productivity. This is an example of tiling. When water hits this orange standpipe, it goes down into the ground and flows off the field through these tubes that the farmer is putting into the land. This is tillage. The farmer is using this tiling machine to churn up the organic matter in the land to make it more suitable for farming, which, however, makes it more susceptible to erosion. Some methods to reduce erosion are contour farming, building terraces and grass waterways, and using residue management by utilizing minimum till and no-till farming. This is an example of contour farming. This farmer has planted his crops with the hills, so when water tries to run off the hills, it hits those crops and goes right back down into the water. Into the land, my bad. This is a terrace. A terrace is kind of a small hill that runs across the land that shortens up the slope for the water so it doesn't pick up speed going down the hill. This is a grass waterway. When water hits a grass waterway, it goes down into the land where the crops can find it and use them as nutrients. This is residue management. This farmer has left residue from last year's harvest on the field so that the land is less susceptible to erosion. This is no-till farming. The farmer has left all the grass that has grown on the field so that there is less erosion on it. How much greater chance do you think is erosion on tilled land versus no-till? 4 times, 20 times, 50 times, or 240 times? The answer is 240 times, and that's a lot of times. Only 9% of you got the right answer on this one. That being said, this leads me to my experiment. This is fully tilled land, and this is no-till. You can see there's grass and residue on this one, and there's absolutely nothing, just plain dirt on this one. I'm going to do the no-till first. I have measured the correct amount of water on this area of space here to assume that this is exactly 1/2 inch of water on both of these two containers here. And I have propped them up on my little board here to suggest that there is it's a 10% slope, which is the average slope of land in Iowa. As you can see, there is not much runoff coming off of my small farm here. Now for my full tilled land. As you can see, there was no runoff coming off of this land. Now there's a lot more erosion on this fully tilled land because there is none of this grassy protection against all this rain. As this experiment shows, there is a lot more surface runoff on the fully tilled land versus the no-tilled land. What percent of soil erosion do you think can be prevented? 5%, 55%, 97%, or 100%? The answer is 97% because obviously not all soil erosion can be prevented. To sustain agriculture in our environment, we need to balance productivity, producing more per acre to feed a growing population, and conservation, ensuring the sustainability of agriculture for our future. Are there any questions? The answer was the question was, where did I get my information for this presentation? And I got the information on the internet on the Iowa State Extension website. Are there any further questions? Well, I think it's actually more susceptible to the runoff if it is wet, because it's a bit slicker and it can just take it right off, where if it's dry it needs to get wet first for it to run off. Any more questions? The question was, how did I get interested in this topic? I was interested in this topic because last year, where the farm is back home, I noticed that there was lots of rain last year and there was puddles all over the field. However, this year we did not get much rain at all, and so I noticed that it was a lot more dry, and I just became interested in that, and I came by soil erosion and I made a presentation about it. Any more questions? If not, this concludes my presentation.